Hey guys, happy Thursday. Welcome back to my IG live. Today I'll be starting a new series. It won't be cooking as I've done in the past or had guests cook on this live in the past. But a few weeks ago I was just like I just had a brainwave and I was like, it'd be really good to be inspired and get some tips on how I can start growing my own food. I think with COVID and everything that's happened, especially at the beginning, it got to that point where I was like, are we going to run out of food? And am I maybe too reliant on going to the supermarkets? And I just think there are so many benefits to growing growing our own food. So I've got some friends who will be joining us on IG Live over the next few weeks to talk about how we can go through the process of growing our own food, what are the benefits, just to give that inspiration for doing so. So today I have my friend Victoria, who lives in Brazil, and they have like the most amazing farm that I'm just dying to go and visit. And she is super passionate about growing food, agriculture, and all things green. Just waiting for her to join, and she will be sharing more with us, particularly on the importance of growing our own food. Like, why is it important? So if you're watching, just let me know, like, how do you feel about growing your own food? Is it something that you're doing already? Is it something that you'd like to do? Or is it something that you've never really thought about? Because I just think it is really important, especially given the times that we're in. We can't really be too reliant on systems which we know a pandemic can easily wipe out. So we definitely need to be more self-reliant. So let me know in the chat how you feel about growing your own food. Hi Bruna, thank you for joining. Hopefully Victoria will be with us soon. I guess I'll just have a chat while we wait. Another thing with kind of the whole aspect of growing food is that I'm sorry, my voice is going. I'm completely plant-based. My diet is based on plants. And so really and truly, I'm like, I really should just get it in the best form possible, which would be to grow it myself, know that, it hasn't been treated with harsh chemicals, pick it and like see where the food came from, how it grew. Because I remember last year, I kind of, had this whole, I need to grow my own food. And so I got these microgreens, fenugreek seeds to be precise. And I thought I'd start off by growing some on the windowsill. So I just got a little plastic cup, filled it with some soil, planted the seeds. And it was so amazing. Like every day I'd go and like look in the cup and see if anything happened. And like to see the process of it growing from a seed to actual like the greens that I could pick was really, really quite satisfying. So I did like that whole experience. And so it would be really cool to like go and go outside and just pick lettuce for my sandwich. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's outside. Actually, speaking about that, I was in Thailand March time last year, and they had they grew a lot of things like aubergines and lettuce and greens and cauliflower, like loads of different things. And we could literally just go and pick the lettuce that was going to be for lunch. And I just thought that was really great. Victoria, feel free to join the live when you're ready. Basically, guys, what I'm trying to say is that I know I need to start growing food. I don't know if you feel the same, but I think it's something that we all gotta get onto. So I'm hoping that the next 4 weeks will be an opportunity for us to all learn together and be inspired. So Victoria will be joining us. Hi, Oyi Menina.
Oh, hi.
Hi,
Good to see.
welcome.
Thank you very much. Good to see you, Chantal.
You
And
too.
good to see you, Bruna, there. And also some new friends that I'm
I
happy you're there
see. You brought a lot of friends with you. Nice.
too.
Thanks for joining, guys. Um, so obviously we know each other, but and my followers will know me and your followers will know you, but I guess well, yeah, I'll introduce myself. So I'm Chantal. I am a dietitian and I'm also plant-based and I'm crazy about plant-based food. And yeah, Victoria and I met a few years ago at a mission training school in America. So she went there from Brazil and I went there from England and we met in USA and now we're back in our countries. Um, but yeah, that's me. Don't know, can you go ahead and introduce yourself, please?
Sure. So, as Chantal said, my name is Victoria, and I'm Brazilian. And if I could identify myself in a short term, it would be I'm a farm girl.
Yes, you
That's
are. No doubt
that's
about
my that's my core identity, and I love it. I grew up in a farm here in the tropics of Brazil, and um, yeah, it's been just amazing growing up with that until the time I had to choose a career and had to choose which direction of line I would go. And I am passionate about plants and nature and everything, but I think I'm even more passionate about people. So I was like, how can I unite these two things, you know? And I ended up choosing to continue studying on that. So I'm currently in college
it. Hmm.
studying agriculture engineering.
No,
And
that sounds
yeah,
intense.
yeah, which is a bit intense, but I'm glad my my school break just started. So,
Cool.
and that's how, yeah, I've been living life lately.
Losing
But
weight.
it's always a pleasure to talk about what we're passionate. And I mean, you're passionate about food. I'm passionate about where the food comes from.
Hmm.
So I think this is gonna be an exciting conversation.
Definitely, you've got a great collaboration going on here. If only I could get your food to utilize here, because like there's certain things you guys have got over there that we might get it here, but it's just lost the
Yeah,
quality. Like it's just yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So
Well,
let's kickstart.
I'm blessed. I can't
So
complain.
blessed, so blessed. Um, and I'm just dying for the time when I'll be able to join you. I know we've spoken about this since we met. I'm just like, I
Yes,
have to come and visit. And don't worry, I'm coming. It's just a matter of
you
when.
better come.
I'm coming. It's just a matter of when. Let's hope COVID can hurry up and, get moving. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I guess we can start by talking about what are the benefits of growing food? Like, why is it important? Why should we think about it? Why is it important for us to even have this conversation? Or yeah.
Well, we have to agree that this is not a conversation very common to have. Like, who sits and talk about like, oh, where did this food come from? Like,
Hmm.
where was it grown? And no, it's just something that we're so used to. It's so part of our lives that it became almost like mechanic, automatic,
Hmm.
and we don't think about our food. But I mean, you can say that even better than me. How how the food is the basis for us to be moving, to be breathing, to be living.
Mm-hmm.
It's where our energy comes from, and what we eat influences what we think, how we react to things, our emotions, our mood. It's crazy. So it's definitely something to think about more.
Mm.
And I'm happy that lately people are becoming more mindful of this. Um, because I believe there was a time when humanity was connected to their food. And when we see this through the perspective of God creating man in the
Mm-hmm.
Garden of Eden and then showing him around the food God himself had planted for them and telling him, this is yours and you are here to take care of it, to cultivate. You see here that it was supposed to happen in a way that there was a connection, a relation between man and his food.
Mm.
And well, throughout history, we just lost that. And mainly because of our lifestyle, most of people's lifestyle.
Not yours.
Yeah, thankfully not mine. But people are just like in the city and in such a busy routine that, man, I get so shocked when I see kids that have no idea where like the fruit came from,
Mm.
or like, do you know how this bread was made? No, like this is crazy. I mean, for me it's crazy,
Listen,
but
I'm the same.
it's
Like,
just normal
I'm
out
the
there, right?
same. I can't even say anything because there's some things like until I traveled to tropical countries and I saw plants, I'm like, that's how a pineapple grows? Like, what? I was actually mind blown. So, like, yeah, I get how for
Yeah,
you it was like shocking, but I can see how kids will grow up not knowing it if they've just never seen it.
but it wasn't supposed to be like that.
Right.
I don't think so,
Mm.
because our food is part of our identity, you know? And it's more than just a personal thing. It's also a social thing.
Mm.
It's yeah. So, um as I was growing up, my parents always made sure that we knew where what we're eating was coming from.
Mm.
And not only that, but also they made the effort to involve us in the process
Mm.
of not just harvesting or bringing it to the table, but also planting, taking care of it. And it's so much more meaningful when you see that, because when you tell a kid you need to eat your vegetables,
Yeah.
they're like, ew, this doesn't even taste good. Like, why do I need to eat vegetables and fruits? Um, and then they compare to those fancy packages you see in the
Yeah.
supermarket, all colorful and stuff, and crunchy and blah blah blah. And because that makes much more sense to what they are exposed to
Right.
than the natural stuff. But if a kid sees the process of simple letters growing, and then they are able to go take it and eat it, it's a whole nother
Mm.
thing. It
Mm.
has more meaning. And I think that influences directly in our health. And not only the physical health, but also our mental and emotional health, and just like holistically speaking.
Mm. Mm.
Um, Yesterday, I went out after my class, and I was just like with my mind so full. I had to present my final assignments for the semester, and I was like, you
Mm.
know what? I'm gonna take a break. And then I went to pick some fruit.
Ah.
um, to eat some snacks. And I even brought
Wow.
some here with me
Oh
to
wow, look
show
at
you
those.
guys.
Ah, all the
So,
tropical stuff that we probably don't even know
total.
here.
Well, I'll introduce it to you, okay?
Please.
Because these are amazing. Let me start with mangosteen. I'm sure some of you have heard about this,
Mm-hmm.
because this is your queen's favorite food. Favorite
Really?
fruit. Yeah, you can Google it. Mangosteen.
What?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's it's one of the most expensive fruits. And yeah, I eat it for free here because we grow it.
Stop it. Stop rubbing it in,
And
man.
and man, the the flavor of it, and it's so beautiful.
Oh,
Like the color, it's so attractive,
wow.
and the smell. But you know what's a funny thing? You won't. You can have an idea, but you won't know what I'm talking about because you haven't ever tasted it.
Mm,
And that's the same thing with all of what we're talking about now. You won't know what I'm talking about the pleasure of, growing your food, eating what you
mm,
grow, until you experience it.
mm. That's true.
It's not just a theoretical knowledge, it's a practical, experiential knowledge. And
Mm,
when you start doing it, even if the first plants you start planting they die, but you keep doing it, you have that love increasing inside you,
mm,
that passion. Why am I so passionate about it? Because I mean I'm doing it every day. That's the same with the fruit. I mean I love it because I know the flavor of it.
yeah.
So that's mangosteen. When you come here,
It
you're gonna try it.
is that manga. Oh,
Mangosteen.
what's the
Mangosteen.
Portuguese? What's the?
In Portuguese, it's mangostão.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've heard that one. Cool.
And this
Cool.
is rambutan.
Oh yeah, I think I know
You,
that one.
you,
I saw
you
that.
probably saw, yeah, you
Yeah,
probably saw it. It's from Asia, so
yeah. That one's nice. Kind of like a lychee.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah, it's like the tropical lychee.
tropical lychee. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
That's
amazing
nice.
too. This one I know you like a lot, and it's
Is that a
an
mango
everyday.
or
No, it's not
avocado?
everyday breakfast avocado. Avocado with toast.
Nice, nice, nice. Nice and big as well. Like not the little small ones that we get over here in the West.
Oh yeah, this is almost the size of my
Ah,
head.
why am I living in England? Oh my goodness.
And this is to keep your vitamin C on
That's
check.
right. That's right.
Tangerine,
That one I
and
know.
yeah, this is just just an example, just for you to see what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. Thank
But
you. Thank you.
the point is, I I'm not sure where all of you guys that are watching us now are from or are leaving at, but and probably you're in a place that you can't grow this a specific fruit here, but I'm sure you can grow something. Um, I think big change starts with small steps. Um, you might not be able to go and start growing 80% of your food right now. Like that's our situation right now, but this was built over time. My parents
Mm,
came to this farm 30 years ago. They chose this lifestyle. And today I'm eating fruits of their labor, not just mine. Um, oh man, I forgot to bring the Brazil nuts. Yeah, I
ooh.
I harvested some yesterday too, and they are known for taking like really long
Oh wow.
to bear the fruit. And
Mm,
we're already harvesting it here because um, it's not the fruit that takes long to bear, uh, to to grow.
mm-hmm.
It's us that take long to plant. I think there needs to happen a change in our whole paradigm about all this. That is
Mm-hmm.
something hard. That is something unpleasant. That is something, uh, um, difficult. That is something. No, it's in our genes. God put that. It's almost like an instinct. You know the whole story about having a green thumb and stuff.
Yeah,
Everyone has that
I wanted to
potential.
ask you about that. Like, is it genetic? Like, can you be born with the skill of destroying plants, or is it something that you you just have to work on? Because I've had friends that are like, I just can't plant anything. Like anything I touch that's green dies, and like I just can't do it. Can we develop the skill, or is it
Most
a gift?
definitely, Chantal, because it's in our genes. I do believe it. Um, I mean, the more disconnected you grew up, uh, of course you're gonna have more difficulty, but
Mm,
it doesn't make it impossible. I know people that like live their whole lives in apartments, and once they mentally realize, no man, I need to do something about it, and I'm gonna start by planting cilantro, by planting like this really short cycle
at the herb,
crops and species.
yeah.
And well, the first ones died, and they were like, "How is it possible?" But they didn't give up, and they kept doing it. Soon they had tomatoes on their windows, and now they bought a small piece of land, and they're growing like 50% of what they eat there. And I
Wow.
was just like, and in over just 2 years, it didn't even take 20 years, just 2 years. But
Mm,
they realized, yeah, I need to. I mean, we work so hard to develop skills on music, on
true.
language, even in school. You know what? This makes me pretty annoyed. Let me put it that way. That we go through school for so many years, and
Mm,
we learn so many things that we'll never use in life ever again.
mm.
I mean, how many times did you use the formula of Bhaskara today?
The formula for
Of Bhaskara. It's a
what?
math. It's a math
And then
formula.
probably anything to do with maths is out of my head. So yeah, that just goes to show
I
I
mean,
don't use it.
yeah. Or, yeah, man. You know, all these things that we learned,
Mm,
and it took us so many years, like going to school day after day to be repeating that. That has no practical influence in our everyday life.
mm,
While something that is like essential to everyone. It doesn't matter your career, your line of work, where you live. Even if you live in an apartment,
mm,
it's essential for you to know at least how your food was grown, or yeah, what are the nutrients in it? What do you need to for your body to be moving? You know, and it's a shame. It's a shame that somewhere back then our society just lost sight of that value.
mm,
But if we spend so much time putting a bunch of uh, unuseful stuff in our minds, can't we put a little effort into learning something
mm,
that will not only help us um, physically, but also our whole being?
mm.
Um, you know, so but there needs to be a change of paradigm. This is a conversation we wouldn't need to be having if people were exposed to this since they were growing up, you know. But unfortunately, it isn't the case.
Mm.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I think it's really important what you're saying because I think as well as the switch from growing our own food and being connected with our roots and the soil and the earth, to everything being industrialized, there's also been a switch in our diet as well because if you're
Hmm.
not eating plants, you've got no need to grow it. So you can see that
Yeah.
as societies become more modern, people have resorted to junk food and processed food, and so we're actually even slowly eliminating the use of plants in our diet, which is not even healthy. Like a lot of research is coming out now as well about the gut and how the gut thrives on plant foods. Like whether you eat
Hmm.
meat or not, that's up to you. But in addition to whatever else you're eating, like plants has to be there. Fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, seeds, like pulses, beans, like they all do such an amazing work in our body. And so I think as you said, it's a whole paradigm switch of our whole mentality of what we're eating. And as we change what we're eating, I think it then becomes easier to see that connection with why we then need to grow what we're eating, because that's what we're eating. So it, it makes sense. But if you're not eating that stuff, then why are you gonna you're not gonna need to grow it.
Yeah.
So I think it's about educating ourselves as to actually like what does our body need, and like for us as Christians believing in God, God created us, and so he knows the best for us. And when he created us out of the soil, he made us from the things that will nourish us. Like the soil feeds plants and we eat plants, we get the nutrients. But we've somehow gotten to this point where we're eating meat that, not necessarily us, but people eat meat to get the nutrients from the plant, and then they get the nutrients secondhand. And so it's like you're actually
Secondhand, yeah.
secondhand nutrients. So that animal's digested and processed and
Hmm.
churned it and done whatever. And then you're then trying to get nutrients from that. Why not go straight to the source? Like the soil feeds the plants, you eat the plants, you get the nutrients. We can cut out that secondhand processing that goes on through an animal. Um, so I think, yeah, it's like totally a whole mindset shift. And
Yeah, and if I may,
yeah,
I'm gonna say something that's very unpopular, but even if you are on a vegan diet or a plant, I mean, yeah, a vegan diet or a vegetarian diet, it doesn't mean you're eating healthy.
no,
It
yeah.
doesn't mean it at all.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Because the amount of over processed food we take as um, whole grain and whole food and vegan has so little of the pure and whole that comes from a more simple diet. When you eat your whole grains, fruits that come from organic farms or from a system that has that abundance mindset
mm,
ingredient, you know? Um, so I see a lot of movements like, yeah, go like go vegan and stuff, but it's still lacking. It's like we're going for what's on the surface, but missing the whole point
mm,
that's um, back there where we lost it when we forgot to look where it all came from. And and I know like and I'm not saying all this to make people feel bad because they're not in favorable circumstances like maybe I am now. But I think it's an opportunity to to everyone to stop and think about it. And even like when you go and buy your food, research like, okay, where is this coming from? Like, do I
mm,
know the source? How is it grown? Um, what are they putting in it? You know, and and also like go checking out local farmers that are doing their part to to provide people with better quality food.
mm,
All these things that could be done and could be valued, but we're just yeah careless
mm.
because we are in a generation, in a moment, in a stage in society that we just want everything that's the easiest.
Easy, right?
The easiest doesn't mean the best at all. Most of the times is the opposite. So yeah,
Okay, cool. Um, so to kind of summarize what you've said so far, the main things are that you feel more emphasis should be given to thinking about where our food comes from and knowing how our food is grown, like from children up to adults. But even if, you've not grown up with that background, that we can start to educate ourselves
yeah,
as to how we can grow our own food. And if we can't do that, supporting people that are, so like local farmers markets or yeah, local farmers that we can buy from. And obviously, the easiest the most direct thing we can do is to grow food ourselves. um So in terms of like just going a bit more into the benefits of growing, I know you mentioned about the physical and the mental. From your experience, how does growing food make you feel? Like, you know, you said yesterday you were kind of overwhelmed with your studies and you went out into the farm. When you're feeling like that, like you're stressed or anxious or, you know, just kind of need a break, how does kind of being out in nature and growing food, what does that do for you? And even like being in the soil, like as a female, it's like, hands in the soil, I've got my nails, you know, all that. But like, yeah, how does the experience of being out there um overcome how it, you know, maybe the dirtiness of it or the inconvenience maybe? Like tell me a bit more about that.
Um, well, yeah, you're bringing again that mind shift that it's not the dirt is not dirty. Um,
Mm.
it's it's the bed of life,
Wow.
like, and I see it like that when I put my hands in the soil. It's like me putting my hands in the bed of a little baby that needs care, that needs tender love, that needs attention. Um, and it's crazy. It's funny because when I walk around and I see degraded lands and places that people see like has no potential,
Mm.
I keep that in mind. Like, no, there is potential in it. There is
Mm.
life within what we see. We see it's just dry land, dry soil. You
Mm.
know, because it's the bed of where our life in the planet comes from. And so for me, it's actually a huge privilege to be able to put my hands in the soil, to get them
Mm.
dirty, to um, feel the the soil, and to have that contact. I really believe, and I am gonna study deeper about that um, for my career because I do believe there is a it's like a therapy, and
Mm.
there are already research and
Mm.
and studies on that. The garden therapy for the treatment of mental issues and diseases and stuff,
Mm.
because it really calms the soul. It really brings that whole um, connection, and it's not something mystical that I'm talking about. It's something very physiological too. Um, so for me, um, it always works. When I'm anxious, when I'm stressed, when I'm overwhelmed, I go out, maybe not just to like put my hands directly in the soil, but
Mm.
to to prune something, to harvest something, or just to be inside the forest, or let me show you, just to be
Ah.
inside something like
Oh my
this.
goodness. Wow.
Um,
That's so beautiful.
it it really calms my soul and brings me back to 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 the present and to where I'm at and to my purpose here, because I see around me that each plant has its own function and
Mm.
they're beautifully playing their role. Not just they're taking all the nutrients they can from the soil to bring a fruit, but
Mm.
they're giving shade, giving conditions to the other plants around them to also flourish, you know.
Mm. Mm.
So there is so much cooperation um, in nature, and when you do agriculture or farming, gardening with that perspective in mind, you can really see uh, signs of God's character and
Mm.
what He wants to develop inside in us as well. So yeah, I think I think it's the best place to learn, to relax, to analyze things, and my dad says that the garden is his creative um, studio.
Mm,
That's where he goes when he needs to write an article or he needs to come up with a solution for a big problem. He just goes there. And as he's
mm,
working there, he comes up with the ideas in his mind, which is pretty crazy.
mm,
But it actually works. And I'm sure it can work even in a smaller scale. You guys just need to give it a try, you know?
mm, mm. Cool. Thank you. Wow. So I think basically there's this holistic aspect, because we're physically being nourished, mentally, like learning so many things from nature and about God as well. So yeah, that makes me feel calm just hearing you speak about it. Bruna asked the question, tips for growing food in an apartment. So I know that you don't kind of have an apartment there. So if you're not able to answer it, it's fine because in next week's live, and a few weeks from now, I will have people who kind of speak a bit more on the practicalities
Mhm.
of growing in limited space and things. But from your experience or knowledge or from others, do you have any tips on that? And just growing in general, how people can get started, where they can go to learn more and things like that.
Well, back to what we were commenting before. Sometimes it seems something very hard because we have no idea how it happens, how it
Mm,
grows. But when you think about it, what do you need to grow something? You need some soil.
mm-hmm.
You need uh, light from the sun. Sometimes not even from the sun, but let's take it.
That's true.
Let's take the that as an example now. Light, soil, and CO2, which is carbon, right? Um, and also oxygen. So, um, if you're able to have that and water, I forgot to say and water. If you are able to have that in an apartment, of course you can grow something. It's not that hard. Just get some soil to start with, and then of course you need some basic minerals in it. And if you're gonna buy the soil, it's probably gonna come already with
Mm,
that. Or if you're gonna just get it from the neighborhood or from somewhere, I don't know. I don't know how that would happen there, how that would be. But I mean, it's not that difficult, you know. Um, and then you have to keep in mind like what are the conditions uh, that are sufficient for a plant to grow here. It needs to be wet and humid, but not too wet. It needs to give space for the air to go and break through. It needs to have access to light from the
mm-hmm.
sun, and it's more like a trial and error and go doing it
That's
to see
true.
like
That's
and and as you start you see that each plant has different needs.
mm-hmm.
So some will need more light, some will need less, some will need more water, some will need less, you know. But how are you gonna know that? I mean, you can read that in the books and you can also find a bunch of information on Google. But I think what will really, really teach you is once you start doing it and just getting your hands there and getting used to to the idea of like, wow, I planted this seed here. What's the cycle of this little plant? Like, how long will it take to it germinate?
mm,
What will it need while it's growing? When does it start? When can I start cutting it or harvesting it? So I would suggest that you start with short cycle plants. Um, for me here, it would be like um, some greens like cilantro, radish, arugula, lettuce, um, and then also tomatoes, depending on the season of the year, if there is the right temperature and
Mhm.
climate for it. Um, but I mean, you guys are in summer right now, so
We are. So
you can basically
now is the time, isn't it, to get started?
now is the time. Yeah, now is the time. So you can start with that, and just playing with it. You can even make like different those pots.
Those like the trays with the different holes.
Uh,
I don't know what you were describing. Sorry, I might have just ruined that explanation. Sorry, you can start again.
uh, you know, those. I mean, I'm gonna call it pots, where it comes usually with plants for decoration and stuff, and there are some that are like
Oh yeah,
um
plant pots. Yeah,
deeper,
right.
yeah, all the time. So you can buy different ones of those and put the soil in it. Make sure, if you're able to keep it covered with some sort of mulch, so it keeps the humidity in the soil, and also the nutrients and stuff. And then start planting. Like if you have, for example, seeds of lettuce and tomatoes and cilantro, arugula, whatever. Um, you can start them in a really small one or even in a seed track,
Hmm.
and then when it's the seedling, you can switch to
Okay.
the plant box, and you're gonna see it. It's not that hard as it has made seem. Like it's
Of
not that
course,
hard.
it's easy for farm girl to say.
No,
No,
Chantal,
but I hear what
trust
you're saying.
me.
I hear what you're saying.
Trust
We just
me,
have to
it's not that
get
hard.
going, get started. So the
It's
main
not. It's not.
takeaway
I
is to
I
start.
I yes, I
Just
challenge you.
okay.
Start. Start growing at least your seasoning mint. Basil,
Yeah, yeah.
cilantro, um, and I forgot the
Um, can't even think.
parsley.
Thyme.
Parsley is
Three.
parsley is the easiest one, honestly.
Okay.
So yeah, just start by that. And then you're gonna say, oh well, if I can grow this, I can also add some others
Yeah.
um, here and there. And soon you'll be able to be growing your blueberries and your berries and
Mm,
all these amazing fruits that we can grow here, but you can there.
mm,
So yeah,
cool. Well,
it's possible. The impossibility
is in
lies
the
in our mind.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. That's it.
And you don't need a lot of resources to get it started. That's the beautiful uh, part of it. I mean, to learn to play the piano, you need to at least have
Have
a
a
piano
plan. Yeah.
and have a teacher. I mean, for gardening, you don't need to have a farm to start planting.
That's true.
You
That's
know,
true. Cool. So
you need just to have the passion.
I think I need to challenge myself that I mean I can't really drive it. Anyway, whatever. The next week I'm gonna start growing something. So all of you who are watching here, you need to join next week and I'm gonna show you my container of my seed that's growing.
Yes,
I have to do
yes.
it now because I told you guys.
You're making a moral commitment, girl.
I am. I am. I am. I am. But yeah, next week I will have something that I started to grow because that's the whole point of having these lives. It really was for me to kind of just start doing it and be inspired and hopefully inspire others as well in that process. So yeah, thank you very much, Victoria, for taking the
You're
time
welcome.
to
It was a
share with
pleasure.
us and remind us and show us that it's really just in our mind and we just have to start. It's not as hard as we think. and we can do whatever we can do with the resources that we can have. That's enough
Yes.
to start.
Mhm.
So yes, I'll be doing it. um,
And keep in mind, um, growing plants like growing life.
mm,
Um, and then when you eat what you grow, it's like you're eating. It's part of a beautiful cycle of just life,
yeah, yeah,
not just dead food that it's, it's coming to your body. So, um, if there is something I hope all of you will keep in mind from this whole conversation is this. It's possible and it's in our genes. We can do it. And I believe we are going to face a crisis
mm,
way worse than what we're facing already.
mm,
But I do not talk about it because I don't think that's the best motivation for anyone to start growing food and planting and going back to nature. Because if you're driven by fear, that whole energy and excitement will go away really fast,
yeah,
you
that's
know.
true.
But when you understand the meaning it has and the benefits it will bring to your life personally, wow, then you're good ways to go. And I hope to hear from you and from all the others who watched and were here with us how your experiences will be.
Yeah, definitely. So guys, if
And if
you go on.
and yeah, feel free to come and visit us in Brazil and check out
Oh yeah, don't worry.
our little piece
I'm
of Eden
coming.
here.
I'm coming. Um, but yeah, thank you. And guys, if you do start growing food, be sure to tag us so that we can see your
Yes,
journeys and have a little community online and encourage one another. So
yes, definitely.
thank you. So Victoria was the first of four guests over the next 4 weeks. So next week I'll have a couple who are from England who have been growing. They actually have grown quite a lot of things like blueberries and wheat and spelt and olives, and they've really just
Wow.
done so much. So I'm really excited for them to share that is possible to grow things in England, and just share
Yes,
how we can do that as well. So
I wanna watch that too.
we'll be right here, same time, same place. So yeah, thanks Victoria, and thanks everyone for joining, and hope to see you
Thank
again
you
next
for the
week.
chance.
No problem. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you.